This
Oh,
conference will
okay.
now be recorded.
Hi, Linda.
She
She
does
may
not
probably
have
listening for a
her
little
mic
while.
on.
I
She
understand
doesn't
she's
have her
muted.
mic on.
There it is. She's coming on. Now her mic's on, but she's still muted. Anyway,
I'm wondering if she's related to Reese, her last name is.
Rodney?
Yeah.
No, Rodney's with an S.
No, Reese, R-E. Oh, Reese is with an
I
S?
thought Rodney was with an S.
No, no. Oh, his last name Reese was with an I don't know.
That's okay.
Linda, are you around? Would you like to speak to us?
Hello, everybody.
Hi,
Hello.
Linda.
How's everybody doing?
Good. Where are you from?
Alabama.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
I drove through there like 7 years ago on the way to Louisiana.
Oh, okay. All right.
My name's Wendy and I'm here as a guest, just like you. Having
Nice
you
to
going to
meet you.
speak. Nice to meet you too. What kind of sarcoidosis do you have?
Pulmonary and musculoskeletal.
Oh, wow. So is it like where is it in muscle skeletal?
It's just my bones and muscles.
So how are you
Any place that
doing?
it's worse than any other place?
Um, Mostly my legs, um, hip bone area.
Hmm.
So what do you have like significant scarring in those areas with sarcoid?
Yeah, yeah, in that area. Yes, yes.
So how long have you had that?
I was diagnosed in 2001, I believe.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, that's where, through my rheumatologist, is where I ended up getting my diagnosis. They sent me to a pulmonologist.
Did you get a biopsy done?
Yeah.
So do you have significant pulmonary sarcoidosis?
I've been kind of in remission from the pulmonary side of things.
Oh, that's good.
I I don't have a lot of scarring
Oh,
there.
that's good. That's good.
But my father had it. Actually, he was diagnosed with it like in 1969, I believe. Um, and it kind of lay dormant, I guess, for a while. And it came back in 1993, came back with a vengeance.
Hmm.
And and he passed away in 1995 from it.
Was he on any treatments, Linda?
He was on steroids. And that was
He was on
about it.
steroids.
Hmm.
Do you know if there's any significant event in his life that maybe precipitated the sarcoidosis coming back?
Um, I don't know for sure, but um, my thoughts are he worked in a factory um, that cleaned linen, and
Oh,
Uh,
part of his job was to clean the building from the dust of the linen. And
oh, wow, yeah.
yeah, and it was an older building, and so that's what I feel like contributed to it.
so you probably had a lot of chemical exposure
Yeah,
and dust exposure.
Even, yeah, the
right.
dust.
Yeah.
Yes,
There's
a lot of people don't
there's a
want
lot of chemicals and dust.
Hmm.
to. There's everything
Definitely.
in dust.
My niece is actually doing a study. She works for National Institute of Health, and she's doing a study on rare diseases and how chemicals are contributing in Pennsylvania, in the state of Pennsylvania. And I hope that she finds out some good stuff when
I
Yeah.
she's
hope
working
so.
on this project.
I might have to start dusting them now.
Yeah, I try to stay away from dusting. I mean, I try to. I will go nowhere near cigarette smoke, or I'm just.
Yeah,
So
trying to stay away
where are
from
you right
nicotine
now,
too.
Linda, in your journey? What do you, so it sounds like which is a really good thing that your lungs are doing really well. But what's going on with your hip and are you feeling that it's getting worse, or it's moving, or
um, I don't think that it's getting worse. If it is, it's just a little bit worse. I I can't stand for long periods of time and walk long distances uh, without having to stop. If I like go somewhere, um, if I go on a trip and I'm going to be walking, I use my cane. Or if I'm going to be standing for an extended period of time, I'll use my cane to take some of the pressure off. Um, but when I first started having issues before I got diagnosed, um, I was very active at the time, um, like exercising, going to the gym and stuff like that. And I would get up in the mornings and I couldn't really walk around without holding on to something. And usually, gradually, as the day progressed, it was better. But I used my cane more regularly back then. Um, and my regular doctor, just continued to say, he was like, "You got tendonitis, you got bursitis, and all these other itis, and and he had some ideas about some of the other stuff, and he was like, but you're too young, because I was in my late 20s and early 30s, and so he didn't really take me seriously. And I switched doctors to a newer doctor that was in town, and I love her. She's actually a friend now. She left the area and she's back in the area, but she's still like about an hour away from me. And she was like, "Well, uh, I don't know what's wrong with you, but I can find somebody who does, and help you, and I can oversee them." And she did. And she sent
wow.
me to a rheumatologist first.
One of the rare examples of doctors having some ownership. That's great.
Yeah, I liked her from the beginning. She's not egotistical. She's like, if I can help, I'm gonna help. I'm gonna do what I can do. But if I can't, I'm gonna tell you. You know,
Yeah.
because I don't know everything. And it's like, okay, cool. This is the doctor I want.
Linda, I have a doctor like that too now, but it took forever to get her. But
Yeah.
she's a resident and she's going to be gone. in another year and a half, and I'm flipping out all the time about it because I love her so much.
Yeah.
Well, make sure you find out where she's going. Maybe you can stay with her.
Yeah, I probably towards Texas or somewhere that pays more, New York City or
Uh,
Someplace warmer most of the time.
my friend had a nurse practitioner. She doesn't go to the doctor a lot, and she all of her doctors are in the town where she used to live, and so she went to like a clinic that was associated with the college she was going to a few years ago, and this nurse practitioner was there, and then she started going to like she started working like at an express med or something, and she told her that that's where she was, so she went to see her, and she got diagnosed with cancer, with colon cancer, um, but it was the nurse practitioner that caught it, and so she, really trusts her. Well, she had an area of concern a few months ago, and she wanted to go back to the nurse practitioner that she had gone to, and they said that she wasn't there anymore, and they wouldn't tell her where she was, and she went ahead and saw the person that was there, but she continued searching for her, and she found her like 2 weeks ago. But
I'm sorry your friend
is
had
she
that.
so she tracked her down, and so the next time she has to go for a follow up or something, she's gonna go to her now that she's found her. But nobody would. She called around. Nobody would tell her where she was, and she
Hmm.
found her because she trusted her instincts. Sometimes doctors don't listen to nurse practitioners. Um,
Right.
so, but yeah,
They get their God complex on and won't
yeah,
listen to nobody.
yeah. But she was relentless, and she tracked her down. It's just hard when you get a doctor that you can relate to and that relates to you. It's just so difficult that when you find them, you don't want to lose them.
You
And
don't want to lose
unfortunately,
them.
the good ones are, probably like your doctor, looking for greener pasture. So,
Right. Or everybody that visits them hangs on to them when they get too
right.
busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Linda, I said to her, because I love her so much, I said, your mother and father brought you up so right. Because she's young, you know?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It makes a difference. It really does. Because you feel like you're more able to be more honest. I mean, sometimes you have issues that you don't want to bring up to a doctor that you don't think's listening because, you know, they think you're being a hypochondriac or something. Or that when you got somebody that listens, you feel more comfortable about sharing some of the, you know, maybe smaller things that could be very important.
Yeah, well,
Or at
I
least
was
that's what I.
during the week I was doing did you hear about they had the NIH had a thing for rare diseases, and they were talking a lot about that. How, everybody with these rare diseases, how people thought they were hypochondriacs, and it's
Hmm.
and what can they do about it? People
Yeah.
have
The
their
best term I've
ideas.
heard so far is medical gaslighting.
Yes. Yes.
And it's all
I actually just read an article somewhere the other night about that. A lady who and you might have seen it because I think it was on the rare disease website. The lady's story. about how she kept going. I mean, it took her a couple of years before she got somebody to listen to her, and I can't remember the name of her disease, but um,
Mm.
that it was. I mean, like that was like the title of the article at medical gaslighting.
Well, yeah. I know I had that with my electrophysiologist. He's the one who looks after my pacemaker.
Hmm.
And when I first had it installed, I was really working on my sleep hygiene, trying to like get the light out and get the bed on a consistent schedule. And I was having a lot of problems with fatigue, and sleep is a natural part of that. So I noticed when I was meditating and getting prepared for sleep that I could feel my heart, and it felt unusual. And I would look at my smartwatch, smartwatch. I have an Apple Watch because I got it for monitoring for AFib. Um, it would tell me my heart rate was 60,
Mm.
and from conversations, I knew that the pacing was set at 60. So if your heart tries to go below 60, it will maintain 60 beats per minute. And I'm like, I can feel that, and it keeps me up at night. And he looks at me in the eye and he goes, "You can't feel that." I'm like, "I can feel that." He's like, "No, you can't." I'm like, "Okay, you're right. I can't feel it. Can I have it set to 50?" And he did.
And how does
What?
he how does he know what you can feel?
Well, the pacing voltage is only like 1.2 volts, and it's below the threshold of pain. And I'm like, it's not painful. It's just an unusual feeling. It's like your heart, it doesn't want to beat, but it's going to beat now. And it's going to beat now. And it just has this different feel to the beat than it normally does. And so maybe I'm just more in tune with my body than most people, but it wasn't painful. So I agreed with that. But I could definitely tell when it was happening, when I was relaxed and present and mindful. And once I could feel it, it was like, oh my God, it's happening again. We just gotta get your thoughts going, and then you're not gonna get to sleep for another 2 hours. And they did it again to me. I pulled him aside and I said, listen, I'm not gonna tell you how to do your practice, but gaslighting's a thing, and you do it all the time. And it was when my
Wow.
ICT went off. I was in the shower with a friend, and my ICD decided it was time for therapy, and it hit me twice. And the
Mm.
second time, she had her arm around me, and she got shocked worse than I did.
Oh wow.
And he's like, that can't happen. While she's in the room, that can't happen. And I'm like, well, I'm telling you, it did. And I'm not going to allow you to deny my reality.
Wow. Wow.
Kevin, but you never had anybody in your family have sarcoid, did you?
Officially, no. My mom had a lot of symptoms consistent with what we would today call sarcoidosis, but she was instead diagnosed with fibromyalgia
Mm.
and told it's not in your head, but it's fibromyalgia. So we don't have to say it's in your head anymore. Um, but
Oh,
she had a lot of joint.
do you think she had like a neuromuscular problem, or is
Yep.
that why you think?
Oh, definitely. Um, it was later in life. It was probably from like 45 on. She gained some weight, and um, all sorts of strange things started happening. She had some problems um, with her bowels. She had inflammation in her bowels, which I believe was sarcoidosis because I think I had the same thing. Um, and just never diagnosed. So
Turmeric is good for that.
what's that?
Turmeric and prunes are good for that.
Yeah, I take turmeric every day on my tea. Where else do you put turmeric, Wendy? Are you just taking a supplement?
I put it in everything. I put it in my smoothies. I make smoothies every day. Um, but I have to put something like coconut oil or pepper in with it because it has to like process. Um, I put it in my coffee. I'll like make coffee because I don't use sugar. I'll take like figs and I'll grind them up in the processor and put it in with my coffee and the turmeric and the ginger. And I
Now, are
put in
you
cinnamon.
putting that in with the
Cinnamon.
coffee when
Cinnamon's
you
really
pour
good
the?
too.
Are you putting that in with the coffee when you pour the water over it, or are you putting that in the coffee after it's made?
So I have a espresso machine and
Mm-hmm.
I put a cup down. I put the coffee inside, but I put the turmeric and the ginger in the cup, and then I and the cinnamon and the nutmeg, and sometimes I put cardamom in it, and then with the figs, and then the coffee will come down on it, and then I'll take the whole thing and I'll put it in the bullet, and
Okay.
my bullet
Mm.
does where it gets heat, and
Mm.
then
And
so
it
it
just
goes
blends
through
up.
twice, and then like a soup, and then I just put it in my coffee. And sometimes I'll like instead of using milk, I'll use put some oats in it to make it a milk consistency in the
Okay.
bullet,
Oat milk. Yeah.
just like 2 teaspoons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I when I have sugar, I feel like I get so inflamed. I can't eat any
Oh,
sugar.
it's the second worst molecule for your body if you
It's
have
like I can
sarcoidosis.
like notice it like right away. That's how bad it is.
So they found my sarcoidosis originally in my finger.
Yeah, I remember
Um,
that.
I had a lump, and it got to the point where instead of being able to curl my finger, it would be like at a 90-degree angle, and that's the most I could do. And I was just kind of going along with it, and doing my job and traveling around the world, and I was too busy to do anything about it. But then it interfered with my golf game, and something had to be done. So I'm like, take this thing out. That's where they found it, and they were so confused. They said, you need to see a pulmonologist, and then we were off to the races. Um, but the interesting thing was when about 2 years after I got diagnosed, I started a keto diet, Atkins style diet, no sugar, like none, zip zero nada. And I went, you know, heavy on the fat, heavy on the protein, and minimal carbs. And the inflammation in my finger went away. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And the other thing with Atkins is it's not really sustainable. Like you can only eat cheese and bacon and steak for so long. Um, so I would relax and get some more oatmeals and breads and whatever, and then all of a sudden, poof, my finger would get inflamed. I'd be like, oh,
I'm
it's back. I need
surprised.
to
I'm
get back on
surprised
top.
oatmeal did that to you, Kevin, though, because oatmeal is an anti-inflammatory.
Yeah, but it's still a carbohydrate. And I can't say it was oatmeal that did it, but that was like one of my go-tos when I just wanted some energy real quick and needed some carbohydrates. So yeah, my body really reacted to carbohydrates, and I don't know if it was just the sugar content or all carbohydrates, but um, it it was really interesting to see how it could take 3 or 4 weeks of relaxing on a regular diet, and it would come back, and then it would take months to clear. So I kind of learned how to moderate that, and you know,
Are you still on that
eat,
diet?
no, no, I eat like I'm more vegan. I'm,
Okay,
I'm
because
not
yeah, because I
vegan,
was wondering
but
what
I
they
eat
do
a
with your
ton of
heart.
vegetables. I eat a ton of vegetables. Um, mostly roasted or in my smoothies. Some fruits, so there's carbs in there. Um, but I am 100% no sugar drinks. My new thing. Have you ever heard of coconut water? So I
I
learned
have.
coconut water.
Linda, have you heard of it? I have.
It doesn't come from the coconut. It comes from the coconut tree. It's the tree sap. They actually drill a hole in a tree, and the water comes out, and it has this coconut flavor to it.
Oh, I thought it came
And
like from inside the coconut.
what's that? It does not
I
come
thought
from the
it came.
coconut. It
I came
comes
from
from the
the.
tree.
I thought it came from the inside of the coconut.
I did too. I did too. And I look at the middle of the coconut. It's all white, and that's not coconut water. So I volunteer at a farm park, community garden, and all of
Yeah, I
our
knew you did
fruit.
that. Yeah, I thought you
Right.
were starting that yourself.
I'm now. I'm going to have my own bed this year. So the first year, all the produce went to food pantries and other nonprofits. Um, and once we had the beds established, the second year, the beds are for a community garden. So there's 49 beds. I'm getting one, and 48 other people will be with us. Um, but there's still another acre and a half that they're developing into a farm, and the produce and the fruits from that will be available for food bank. So I still volunteer there, and I will have my own garden this year. Um, anyway, this woman last week brought in walnut water from her own walnut tree. She had just drained it that morning,
Wow,
and it was fabulous. And one of the other
walnuts
guys
are
there,
so good for you. They're anti-inflammatory, big time.
so he's like, "Well, I drink maple water," and he's got this $3 container of maple water. And being an engineer, they make maple syrup by taking maple water, maple sap, and boiling all the water out of it. And it gets into that sugar, that concentrated syrupy consistency. So I've been taking a quarter of a teaspoon of maple syrup, organic maple syrup, and blending it into a quart of water. And it gives it just a tiny skosh of sweetness. And it cost me like nothing. So I'm going to share that with him next week on Thursday when I see him, if he shows up.
You're taking just regular water and just putting a little maple syrup and drinking it?
Just a quarter teaspoon and a quart. It just gives it a hint of flavor. That's it right here. And it's it's not $3. I'll tell you that much. It's filtered water and maple syrup. Just a little hint.
Yeah, it's just there's so much. Um, I have a service coordinator because she has to coordinate all my appointments and everything.
Oh, you do?
And
That's great.
yeah,
Does she
I've
work at
got,
the hospital or the insurance company?
well, okay. The thing is that I don't know how long I'm going to have her because I'm actually going through the hospital now because they're trying to get me. They don't. I got denied Social Security 3 times and they don't understand why I got denied. I go to palliative care too. I've got I've got so many doctors. There's
Yeah.
I, but
I don't
I have so much
understand.
positive news though. So I was going to tell you what happened. So my niece calls me last week. Aunt Wen, she's a PA at an emergency at Highland, and she's really well known because she's, she's just very hyper. And she works with gunshot wounds and stabbings because we have so
Yeah.
many here. But she's like, Aunt Wen, you're not going to believe it. Um, I had they gave us the hospital a big lecture on neurosarcoid.
Wow.
I said, she goes, I had to call you. I'm like, happy birthday. And she's like, I was in shock because the last person that had neurosarcoid was in 2017 and he died here in Rochester. Um,
Wow.
and I was in shock that they did that. And she goes, yeah, because it's so, so rare, especially here. They wanted the people to know about it. And I don't know who, she said a student did it. I don't know, like, because I'm in so many departments at Highland and Strong. It's amazing. I just like, there's so much going on, so many good things.
That's really refreshing to hear. Happy
And
things
then,
are
Kevin,
going well for you.
being affiliated with the Rare Disease Association, um, they hook you up with other people that have rare diseases, and the doctors that work with these rare diseases, they let you know about, different, even though it doesn't have to do with sarcoid, they let you know about, what studies are being done for rare diseases. Like each hospital, has different doctors that work on rare diseases, learning hospitals. Um, and I was like, you get to learn a lot by just, being in all these different organizations and
Hmm.
um they ask you what you want and I'm like, because I tried to go through the representatives around here and they're horrible. All the ones in New York City are, you know, Frank has all those people down there, but upstate,
Right.
there's only one here that my niece and my sister work for, Morelli. He's the only one that, is like like I wanted the stat bill, the home care bill passed. He's, for it. But we have this lady named Gillibrand, and they promised me all this stuff. They ended up not doing it. I wanted to start my own support group and do this and that and to get, the word out about sarcoid. And they promised me they would help me. And they never did it. So I couldn't wait anymore. So I did it on my own. I started my own. It's called the Finger Lakes and Great Lakes Basin Sarcoidosis Support Group. And it's got everybody from Canada, the whole country of Canada and upstate New York.
How
Um,
many how many people do you have in the support group?
58.
Wow.
And it's
Congratulations.
continuous. Every day they're they're in the group. It's a continuous, it's on Facebook. It's a continuous thing. I headhunted some people that were with FSR that wrote articles and they contribute, their opinions on stuff because the Canadian medicine and American medicine's a little different, but the people up in Canada, um, a lot of them are actually like practitioners themselves, and they've got a lot of knowledge, medical knowledge. So it helps everybody, you know.
Hmm. Do you have meetings?
No, I don't have any meetings. We just meet online all the time,
Meet online?
and
Okay.
I've met a guy, he lives about 2.5 hours away from me. He's got neuro like me, and he's got it in his lungs really bad, but it's I'm not gonna tell you who he is, but he's in my
Yeah.
group. And then I have somebody, she's not far from me in Rochester. She's like one town over in Webster, like down the hill from me and near the lake. Um and then my best friend that I grew up with has sarcoidosis, which
Wow.
she doesn't have any, she doesn't have any, she doesn't have anything. Like she doesn't have any pain, nothing. It just showed up on a test. She had, when she was
Right.
pregnant, she had some problems, and they gave her, she had like gestational diabetes, and they gave her a CAT scan or something because something was going wrong, and it showed up that she had sarcoidosis, but she doesn't have any like pain, nothing. She's
That's good. That's the way
She
I was
runs
before
like
we were.
7 miles a day and she's amazing.
Just warn her to be on the lookout because it can come on in real
Well,
quick.
she's a part of the group, so she's
Right,
keeping an eye on it.
right.
She used to have a really good job. She worked for a Swedish company, but they're no longer here in Rochester. Everybody pulls out of this area. So she now she's selling health health stuff over online. I'm not sure exactly what it is. And then I
Yeah,
have
I'm trying to get a sarcoidosis support group with Jefferson, and it's been so difficult.
yeah, see, I won't
Um,
even do it that way. I just did it on my own
right, so I'm
because I'm like I was
I'm trying to
promised.
make the choice. So when I went to Johns Hopkins, it was really well done. They had doctors there, and you know, it all flowed, and the presentation, question Q&A, and it was one of like it's all programmed in for the year as to what they're going to cover on each episode, and it's run by the hospital. And I'm thinking, if Jefferson doesn't want to do that, then I might just start my own for southeastern Pennsylvania or something, and invite them in to, you know, present once in a while. Because I did that on this forum with my
Yeah, because you've
pulmonologist
got a
from
lot
Jefferson.
more people over there, that you
Yeah,
bring in a
so
lot of sarcoid
Jefferson
people.
Jefferson has about 120,
Wow.
and Penn and Temple also have major SARC programs.
Yeah.
So we could, but I think Temple has something for SARC support group. Um, so it's just so fragmented. It's hard.
I
I'm on like
Even the
9
hospital
different
system,
support groups in
it's not easy
Facebook.
to good. Yeah, it's not easy to like the hospitals don't it's a legal obligation to them, so they don't want to get involved. So it's better for you to go out on your own.
Yes, but they have a bariatric support group,
Yeah,
and they have a
but the
cancer support
doctors do
group.
it themselves. The bariatric doctor does it themselves, right?
Well, the bariatric department does.
So the
Right?
person that's
It's typically you're typically talking about a nurse. So on Thursday, I have a meeting with the nurse that runs the Jefferson, the Johns Hopkins group,
wow,
and how
because
they
we
got
don't have
started and what
that, I
they're
don't
going
think.
to do. And then I'm going back to Jefferson and I'm saying like, you need to make a decision here. So I have 2 points. One, you need a patient advocate program, just like you have for cancer and this and that and the other thing. When you have chronic sarcoidosis, you should be assigned to a patient advocate, a nurse navigator, call it what you will. And two, you should have a support group for this because this is nuts. And
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. If not, I'll just be inviting them into my own, and I'll just reach out to Penn and Jefferson Temple as well.
Yeah, I don't really, I just know that, like when my doctors talk about Pennsylvania, New York City's got some good doctors. I
Well,
said, well, what if
we're really
it was,
fortunate in Philadelphia. We've got one of the largest,
I
best
said, what if,
hospital
I said, what if,
systems.
somebody comes to my group because they're excited about my group. I said, what if somebody comes to my, in the area that gets sarcoidosis? And they're like, send them downstate. It's like,
I'm
I don't
sorry,
know.
I
I'm
followed
so
that,
glad
but
that
I
I'm able,
I did.
that I'm doing so well, because I was like, the prednisone really messed up my
Oof,
life.
it's bad.
And
That's
I was
bad
doing
stuff.
horrible. And having it in the brain was no fun either. But
No.
now that I can think and stuff, I just feel it's my, my passion to help everybody. And I've got so much support. I don't even have, it's not even the support from the doctors. It's the support from, my community. It's like the only thing I'm just really upset, well, it's a learning thing is about the politicians. I've learned not to trust them.
Yeah, their lips are moving. You
Well,
know
my
where you can
sister
tell a
always
politician
wanted to
is
be a
lying?
politician. What
You
was
know where you
that?
can tell a politician is lying?
Oh, what's the joke?
What's that?
What is
Yes,
the
it's a
joke?
joke. Do you know when you can tell a
No,
politician is
no,
lying? Their
how
lips
do
are
I know a
moving.
politician's lying?
Their lips are moving. Anyway.
That's true.
So, Linda, a question for you. And this is self-serving. Do you
Okay.
have any support groups in Alabama?
Uh, yeah, there are a couple. There was one in the Huntsville area um, that used to meet in person. I think they merged with one that's in the Gadsden area, so it's kind of South Central Alabama area. But I don't really know of one any closer to me. I'm in the northwest corner
Okay.
of the state, so um, but they have they do the annual April get together in with Bernie Mac's is it
Oh,
his wife or his family. They have different people from his family that has come and spoke, and they do a walk or whatever, and it's in
oh,
the
nice.
Gadsden area, or no, they do, yeah, they do it in either in Gadsden or in Birmingham. So Birmingham has a group that I think they meet separately, but I think a couple times a year they combine.
For a fundraiser or something like that. Gotcha.
Yeah, and just and have a just like a little reunion or whatever. I can't remember her name, which you might be familiar with her. Is it Alice? Alice, and I can't remember the other thing. But Karen Reynolds was the person over the one in Huntsville. She was the president of that one.
Okay. And it, so you've been to a couple of calls and we're welcome back. What would serve you from the support group? Like, what are you looking for? What would be better if we could do X, fill in the blank?
Um, I guess perhaps focusing on doctors. Um,
To bring
how
doctors in to speak?
just like how to go about trying to find the right doctor and tips on um, how to prepare for an appointment um, and things like that, and diet, um,
Hmm.
which um, which I really appreciate your advice and all the things that you have mentioned and brought up, but a little bit more focus on that um, would be two of the top things.
So
But
would you think like specific meals that would support that diet? Would that be helpful?
yes, and like I know, like what I was asking you last time, you were telling me about your smoothies, and and I was like, okay, I would like to know, like, I mean, I think you told me what you put in them, but I would like to know, like how do you measure your turmeric? What's enough? What's too much? How do you do your
That's
ginger? Do you buy the root and uh,
and blend it up. Yep.
blend it up, or do you buy it already done? More
Hmm.
specifics about that. Um,
So yeah, I get you. It, in terms of immediate feedback, it's whatever works. So for me, when I'm doing my smoothies, it's about feeding my body,
Hmm.
not worrying about my taste buds. And
Right.
really, by the end of by the time it's all mixed together,
Hmm.
it really doesn't have any definable flavor. And it's a little sweet from the berries and the pineapple. Has the last one I did, I put organic beets and the beet greens. You buy the beet and it's got this big long uh, stem still attached
I
to
love
it.
the beets.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I put that in there too. Um, I'll put you know apples and bananas. Not a lot of banana because that's a ton of carbs. Um, Coconut meat, so you can buy it in the store, and it's just like it's like coconut oil. It's actually coconut, pureed coconut meat.
Okay.
I thought that was good. Um, Rather than yogurt, so my body is not a fan of milk fat. So I used to use like Greek yogurt, protein, not carbs, gives a little
Hmm.
binder and whatnot. So the last batch I made, I actually tried putting in um, tofu,
Hmm.
which is flavorless, and it comes in different stiffnesses. And one of them's called like silk, so it's almost like a yogurt, and it has no flavor, and it's bean protein. It's from soybeans,
Hmm.
and it just gives it some body. It's just you play with it, and I have my own process for it. I make like 2 to 3 weeks worth at a time because it's a lot of blending and cutting and dicing and whatever. So
Yeah.
I put all the fruits and vegetables and I freeze it, and then a week at a time I'll take it one big container out. It's like 2 quarts, and I will mix that with the tofu and protein powder and um, other things, fiber as well, and then that'll be my final product. But it's just a lot of volume.
That's good
Because the
that you
what?
can do a prep on it, because to me that's a deterrent. I don't do smoothies a lot, but I'll occasionally do simple smoothies, and it just wears me out. Getting just
Right.
putting.
Every time you take that blender out, you got to clean the damn thing. You got to take it
Yeah,
apart and all
exactly,
of that. So I
exactly.
do that once for
You
the month.
guys, I don't even, you got to get the bullet that I have because I don't even clean it like, with soap. I the manif they when they at Costco's when I bought it, the guy said you just take water, you just pour the water in and you blend it. You take the blender and you blend it. The water in the blender, and then
Right.
you let
That's
it
usually
out
good
and
enough.
then you just clean the top.
Right. Linda,
Oh,
she's
that's
talking
good.
about the bullet blender.
Yeah, yeah, I've seen them.
I don't
Yeah,
even
I
know if it's
use
called the
the.
bullet, the new one that I have. It's because it heats up. Let me go
Oh,
look.
that's interesting.
Yeah, when
Yeah, that's cool.
you said that a while ago, I was like, oh, cool. I didn't know they do that.
Yeah, it's nice
I
because
use the Ninja, which has like 3 levels of cutting,
it's called a
and
NutriBullet.
right. Another kitchen gadget, just what you need.
Oh, anything to make it easier, though.
Yeah, but the reason I was alluding to like the recipes and specifics about that is I was toying with the idea, and I'm somewhat committed to it about starting a like food channel on YouTube
Oh, that'd be
for
cool.
anti-inflammation diet
Hmm.
that from my standpoint, you know, it's all about pragmatism. I think roasting vegetables is the easiest thing in the world, but there's a few tricks that I've learned
Yeah.
that make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Um, they have these copper mats. It's like, parchment paper. It's great for cooking. It really simplifies the cleanup. But then you got to cut the parchment paper to size and then you throw it away. So the copper mats are reusable. They're easy to clean, non-stick, and it really simplifies the whole thing. So that's like one little tip and trick along the way. Um, you know, different types of vegetables take different amounts of time in the oven. So like, potatoes and carrots take longer than broccoli. So if you cook them at the same time, the broccoli is going to be burnt by the time the carrots are done, for example. So it's just knowing what to put together um, as an example. Also proportions. I eat 4 ounces of protein at dinner. And I'll eat the rest of my plate is full of vegetables. And that is the complete opposite of what it used to be. I really credit that with a lot of my recovery. So that would be one way for me to share um, the lessons learned. That wouldn't. I don't think a forum like this is really attuned to food prep and cooking, but that'd be a way to accommodate that, in a different venue.
Yeah, that'd be
Just
cool. I mean, you said the key word, easier. Um,
right,
I mean,
because
because people do it, but then when they can find an easier way to do it, then
right when you're
they're more apt to
starting.
try it. So
So one of the terms I learned along the way is when you're having fatigue, you go, "Oh, you're a spooner." So you only get so many teaspoons of energy for the day.
right,
And once you're stuck, you're done.
yeah,
And so are you going to do the laundry or are you going to cook? You can't do both. You only got so many spoons left.
right, right.
Um, so yeah, I was like, how do we make this quick, easy, you know, so that, on a day-to-day basis, if you don't have the spoons, you can still eat well.
That's
So
yeah, that's great. Now, do you use a deck of cards to measure your 4 ounces of meat or your 4 ounces of protein?
I know I have a kitchen scale.
Okay.
But yeah, deck of cards is
I'm
about four
just,
ounces.
it's just, I mean, you sit in on classes. I'm a diabetic, and they always at the classes, it's like, can you measure this by this, and sometimes, uh, being the sarcastic person I am, I'm thinking, who has time to go and get a deck of cards or what are all the other little things that they compare size to
Right.
when you're measuring out things to eat.
So yeah, deck of cards is a good reference for protein. A piece of fish, a piece of salmon, the size of a deck of cards is probably 4 ounces.
Yeah,
Now it's going to be longer and thinner than that, but you get the whole idea of the proportion. Um, Same with the steak. If the thickness is that, if it's 1 inch thickness, then that's probably about the right size.
yeah,
Yeah, it ain't going to fill the whole plate. Sorry,
right.
especially if you're a carnivore like me. I used to say, "Oh, I'll take the 16-ounce, supersize me," and wonder why I felt bad
Yeah.
afterwards.
I think that's a great idea that you have, and I hope that you follow through with it. I think a lot of people would tune in and would learn a lot, and I think it would help a lot of people.
I got started on it, and there's I didn't have the mental capacity at the time to like take on video editing
Hmm.
because like you're gonna sit there and you're gonna have periods where you drop an egg or something happens, you want to cut it out, you don't want to do the whole thing over again. So that was one, and the other one was I just felt so bad, I was so fatigued that I really didn't think it was going to come across right. So I just postponed it. I put a pin in it, as they would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's still out
Linda, do you
there.
feel
It
And
that
is.
fatigue too?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If I spend a day, uh, if I spend a day out like during the spring and summer, like on Sunday evenings, if I were to go to walk in the park, take pictures, go to dinner, whatever, and be out for 2 or 3 hours, um, I don't feel it. Say if I went on Sunday, I wouldn't feel it that much on Monday, but Tuesday and Wednesday I would feel awful and not feel like getting out of bed.
Mhm.
Most people it's the
So
Yeah.
next
like,
day, but I have my body has a hesitation to it. So weird
yeah,
like
I
that.
had a lot of that going on. Like, um,
Yeah, me too.
when I was in the middle of the worst of it, a friend of mine coaxed me into going fishing. I'm like, that's not too bad, right? You're going to be out and you're busy. You're in the, I'm going to be in the sun and the salt water and catching fish, and at least I'll have some good fish to eat. And we get down there, and his boat battery was dead.
Mm.
So there was three of us, and so the guy whose boat it was, he's like, all right, I need you guys to take the two batteries out of the boat. I want to go get new ones. And we're looking at each other, and there's like this little tiny compartment. And my friend is like 6'4", and I'm 5'11". And he's like, my back, my shoulder, I can't get in there. And I'm like, oh. So, it was hard. A lot of physical work and heavy batteries and getting the wires around, and cramped space, and kneeling down, like squatting down. And, I just kind of rallied to do that. And honestly, guy, when he came back with the batteries and I had them in, I laid down on the front of the boat and I went to sleep. And then we're like, going out in the, into the ocean when it gets a lot rougher. And I couldn't sleep. I was bouncing around too much. I was afraid I was going to like fall over this. So I was standing up in the wind and the waves and the sun. And I was like, all right, I'm back. Let's go. I was out for 3 days. I was wiped out for 3 days
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yeah. That's how it
Uh,
is. That's how it
yeah,
is. Is I used to we used to my family um, have items in antique malls, and so a lot of Saturdays we would drive up to different areas of Tennessee, not necessarily to get stuff, but just to uh, hang out with other people who did what we
right.
did. And we get up in the morning and go, get back in the evening, 6 or 7 o'clock, and we go to a lot of the little small towns, which I live in a small town, and just a little area, and you can just walk from store to store, and usually somewhere they would have a restaurant where they had live bands playing and stuff. Um, stop there. Nothing crazy. Um, But come Monday and Tuesday, I was just out of it, just from, walking around and
Yeah,
looking at stuff and meeting people. It was hard. I enjoyed it, but I was
right.
like, okay, uh, you
And you
know,
benefited from it, right? You're
yeah,
socializing, you're doing something interesting,
yeah,
you know, but it's unfortunate you pay a price for it.
definitely,
But that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it.
right.
You got to live your life,
just
right?
just make sure you
You
don't
can
have a
sit
busy
there
week
and
afterwards.
stop living. So what's the point?
Yeah, yeah, very true.
All right. Well, it's 8:25. I am thinking it would be a good time to call it. Linda, it was great talking to you. Good to see you again. Glad you're
You too.
still doing
Nice meeting you, Linda.
Nice meeting you,
good
Wendy.
talking
Thank
to
you,
you,
I
Karen.
Wendy.
enjoyed you.
Glad you're
You were
doing well.
very
Good luck with
informative.
the medicine-free approach. I wish you the best with that.
Right. Oh, did you get my message from Frank, Kevin?
I did. I did. It wasn't a
Okay.
big deal.
Okay. Okay. All right. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like being rude, and I
I
was like,
took a
I don't know how to get in touch with him. So,
I waited a couple of minutes to
okay.
see who came back in, and it was about this time. I'm like, you know what, this call's over.
Uh, I
So,
I just sometimes want to throw this computer out of the window. It takes me so long to get logged in. That's why I'm always late.
hmm,
Or one of the reasons, and the time difference, I throws me off as well because it's 6 o'clock my
right,
time,
right,
and I'm usually just now getting done with my day around 6. So,
right. So,
but
all right. Well, we are doing it the first Tuesday of every month at 7 Eastern time, 6 Central time.
okay.
All right. I'll see you next month.
All right. All right. See you. Be good.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.